Welcome in, everybody. It is another episode of Scarves and Spikes. It is a rating episode time once again. End of the week, beginning of another busy period for Atlanta United coming up. But coming off of a win, a good win, an away
Back to
win,
back wins.
back to back. Sydney,
Feels
uh,
crazy.
how's it going? We gotta dive in, but how's it going?
Yeah, going well. It seems we were talking about an Atlanta United winning streak. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a chance to talk about one. But first, Philly at home, and Philly, of course, is one of the toughest teams in the league. And then Montreal, traditionally a really tough place to play up there. They had lost at home only twice, once before earlier this season, then last week against NYCFC. So they've been dealt back-to-back home losses. So Lady United, I don't know, maybe they may be heating up. And yeah, another opportunity against New England on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be an important last couple of games before Leagues Cup. We're going to talk about it going into our show on Tuesday. So we're doing the Tuesday show this week, obviously, because Atlanta is playing New England on Wednesday. So y'all come check out our normal live show Tuesday at 7 p.m. So you can come get on YouTube, subscribe, like this content. Go back. We got a bunch of other videos in the past few days, but we appreciate the support, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like our stuff. It helps us out a ton, and it just allows us to continue with what we're doing. And also, make sure you go join up on the Patreon. We're doing a lot of really fun stuff there. That's patrons only. The watch alongs, I think, are probably the biggest hit right now. People just enjoy getting on there, having fun, talking about the game and watching the game together and taking a shot when a goal is scored or whatever else. It's just everybody's having fun. But we have interviews with folks, insiders from around the league, depending on the team that Atlanta is playing. Other content coming up, and obviously we've got the merchandise coming in. We have our first set of stickers, which patrons will get a discount on as well. But also, we're going to be giving away our first set of stickers on the show on Tuesday. So make sure you guys go watch us that day. Make sure you like, retweet, or send it to your story on Instagram. The picture from Scarves and Spikes that is of the stickers, and you can be entered for a chance to win.
Yeah, and patreon.com/scarves and spikes. We'll post a link in our description. But I think that's the housekeeping.
That's it.
Shall we dive into the player ratings, Tyler?
Let's do it. All right. So obviously we're missing a person today. He's busy. U.S. and Canada, if you're listening to this after the fact, is about to kick off in about 15 minutes or so. So we're recording this, and Tommy is busy with plenty of things, but Tommy has rated his players, and we will be adding them in by proxy.
And we're going to assume, if you're watching this on Monday morning, we're going to assume that the United States has beaten Canada.
Yes.
So,
yes. USA. All right.
Let's do it.
First one, and we have to, it's such a big topic this week with Ibarra, right? Santiago Sosa had to have a great game. And he is our first one to rate. And I think this is the first time we've rated him in quite some time. So, very important match for Santi. And
for sure.
I'll throw my number up, but super, super happy with the guy.
Yeah, likewise. So you have a 9. I have an 8.5. Yeah, Santi barely put a foot wrong all evening long, and just a great performance. And this was the performance style that we had hoped we'd see from him. And not just last night, not just on Saturday night, but really whenever he's played. He's not really been the player that we saw when he first kind of came into the flow for Atlanta United. He had kind of dropped off in his form, struggled to stay healthy, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And of course, with the Ibarra loan situation, all eyes were going to be on him. And I saw someone put a meme, on Twitter saying that everyone's going to be pointing fingers at him if he screws up. But no, he didn't screw up. He was terrific. And this was the Santiago Sosa that Atlanta United, the Santiago Sosa that they saw on Saturday night was the Santiago Sosa that we hoped we'd see. And he delivered. He bossed the midfield. His tackling was fantastic.
Superb.
Yeah. His passing was on point. It wasn't perfect. He had a couple miscues here and there, but that shouldn't that shouldn't dampen what was a terrific showing for him. And he needed it. He really needed it. And I don't think we can understate what an important appearance this was for Santiago Sosa, especially on the road where Atlanta United has struggled to win traditionally. And that's something we didn't really touch on in the Open. This was an away win. How many have Atlanta United had, or how many of those have Atlanta United had this season? So, very critical that he was the player that Atlanta United needed him to be on Saturday night away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and they got exactly what they were looking for. So, well done to Santi, and hopefully more of those performances in the future.
100%. 100%. For reference, Tommy has dropped an 8.5 here as well. So Sydney and Tommy on the same page. I gave him a 9. And I definitely echo a lot of what you're saying. Santi needed this match immensely. Between the injuries and just maybe not being the player that Pineda needed him to be, especially this year, but even going back to last year as well, it's just been tough. It's been very tough for Sosa to really get involved in the way that he needed to get involved. And with the news of the Ibarra situation, he talked about it. You can go on Scarves and Spikes on YouTube and on Instagram. Check out his notes from last night. I'll have the quotes up on Dirty South Soccer tomorrow. Just you can tell it affected the team, the Ibarra move. And the Gutman move to a degree, right? But like again, I don't want to get into that topic, but like at least Gutman made sense, right? Ibarra, the way it went down, just tough. That's tough for morale for the whole team. So Sosa comes in last night and really barely puts a step wrong. He was, and I only want to shout out some of these stats because it's been so long since we've been able to really go in depth into a Santiago Sosa match. And he, with 94% on his accurate passes, 47 out of 50. So that's going in the right direction. He had an expected goals of 0.12. He had a shot from the literally the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
His shot accuracy was 100%. It was blocked. 66 touches, 3 out of 3 accurate. So 100% accuracy on his long balls. He won 2 out of his 3 tackles, had a clearance, had 3 interceptions, and 6 recoveries. Those are the numbers for a defensive midfielder that I'm looking at, and that is a big, big deal. And won 67% of his ground and aerial duels, and he was fouled 1 time. So that's a quick dive into his stats. But ultimately what it comes down to is he passed the eye test, and he came out. He was in the right positions. He hustled, and the man played farther up, I think, than I've ever seen him play in an Atlanta United uniform. He was involved in the attack, and then he was magically back in his position, and he was everywhere in the best way possible. And he is, I think, if he can replicate that, I know we've been hard on him and harsh on this show, especially. I mean, but everybody has. But if he can replicate that going forward, if you can consistently get that out of him, and then you got Tristan Biyoma coming in, who's going to pair with him, hopefully, you're looking at almost overnight fixing this midfield. Now, I get it. We're a long way from that. But last night showed really, really good signs.
Yeah, and the question is, I was just thinking how to see build on this. Maybe if we see a regression on Wednesday against New England, it's going to be a little bit troubling. But again, he has to be consistent. He has to string a few of these performances together. We know what he's capable of. He showed it on Saturday night. He showed it in 2021 before he kind of dipped. But yeah, how can he build on this? Can he keep doing this week in and week out for this club? I'm not even talking about Leagues Cup. I'm talking about in league play, MLS play. So yeah, again, really, really good performance from Santi, and about as good as we could have hoped for.
Yeah.
Probably my man of the match.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, Lennon is a good shout. I mean, he missed the one goal that really, really should have been the opener. but whatever. The guy never stopped working. He ends up, jumping on that ball from Almada. But 100, I think man of the match definitely Sosa is a great shout, because it's not just him coming back and showing everybody what it's about, but it's the circumstances behind it, and that's encouraging, because they could have taken this match and said, dude, screw this. Like, we've had such a rough week. Like, two of our best friends are gone. Two of our starters are gone. And they didn't. They went away, came home with 3 points. That's a big, big deal. And that's very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. You got the Fat Mob
Yep.
score.
Fat Mob is given. I'm a little disappointed in Fat Mob, actually. They gave him a 7.6.
A 7.6?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Rude. So,
how dare they?
But applause for Sosa. I'm super happy with it. So, all righty. Moving on from Santi.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, Tyler Wolff.
I got my score.
All right. Let me. I'll throw mine out there.
Gotta wait for you to write your.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
throw
yours up. What you got?
I got a 7.
So okay. I'm gonna go with 6.5.
Ooh, why is 6.5?
I think Tyler Wolff was good. He wasn't. I don't think he was anything spectacular. But I think he was what you needed and what you have needed consistently on that wing. And he has 100% taken that role in the past 2 months, as going from barely getting any time to being a sub, then a super sub, and now starting. And these last 2 matches he started, they've won. Just throwing that out there. So, he mentioned to me specifically in Orlando, it was asked after that match in Orlando about taking advantage of the time that he's given. And he mentioned how hard it is for a guy, a homegrown, to go out and really break through in a team like Atlanta United, because Atlanta United's always going to spin big. They're always going to bring in guys from, outside. So you're constantly going to be competing with talent that has already proven themselves in another league. And you're having a fight against that. So he talked about, you've got to take advantage of every minute you're given. And I don't know that there's a player in the league right now that is epitomized that better than Tyler Wolff. And I give him the 6.5, not because he did anything wrong, but I just think he was good. He was solid. It wasn't that he was good enough. I think he did what you needed to do on that right-hand side. I would have liked to have seen him maybe get a little bit more in the box and be a little bit more goal dangerous like he has been in the past. But I mean, I thought he was pretty solid. Was he perfect? No. He made a couple mistakes defensively. But at the end of the day, I mean, he started the match, played significant amount of time. He was subbed out in the 68th minute and got it done. At the end of the day, he got it done. And this is just another cap on a very successful 2.5 months for Tyler Wolff.
Another young player taking his chance, like Wiley. Talk about him a lot. But yeah, good, solid, if not unspectacular. And I say unspectacular, not in a negative connotation. I mean, he wasn't like up and down the field. He didn't like score a hat trick or anything like that. But no, with a player like him, and we say he's a young player, but he's experienced. I mean, he was loaned out to Belgium. He had saw some time there, and we're seeing now how much of a boom that was to his development. He came back, he had injury situations, injury stuff that he had to kind of take care of. But yeah, I think he nailed it. As soon as he stepped, pretty much from the jump, as soon as he stepped in, he's been a really strong performer for Atlanta United. And you don't want to heap too much pressure on him because he's a young player. He's still adjusting to the professional ranks, as far as MLS is concerned, that is. But yeah, I mean, you talk again about kind of the expectations you place on players, like a guy like Arruja, and I hate to bring him back up, but I mean, he's making what X amount of millions of dollars per year. Obviously, the expectations are high on them to produce what they need to produce. Etienne is a TAM player. We've talked about him. Expectations are high for him to produce. With Wolff, I feel like the expectations aren't as high, so to speak. So he doesn't have as much pressure on him to perform as would a player who's more experienced and has had more time with Atlanta United. Now, that being said, it could be tough on him as a player because he's trying to live up to the expectations of Gonzalo Pineda. He's trying to build that trust within the coaching staff and among his teammates. So I think he's doing a good job of that right now. He still has plenty of room to grow, right? But he's doing a really good job. And I think when you look at Tyler Wolff next year, he's going to be a much more composed, much more technical player, much more physical player that will really be a key part, you would hope, of Atlanta United's setup for the next little bit here. So another success story from the academy. I mean, granted, he came over from Columbus when his dad was coaching, assistant coach with the Crew, and pretty much got there a little bit later than some of the other homegrowns. But still another success story from the academy ranks and the homegrown ranks, like Wiley. So yeah, good on him.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I like the most about Tyler Wolff is that he's teachable. He goes out there and he plays fundamental soccer all the time. And he gets yelled at by Brad Guzan, and he'll hear it from some of the more senior players, but then he goes and fixes it. And it's like it's noticeable how he takes criticism, encouragement, advice, whatever, and he goes and implements it. And he's hungry. And we've talked about that. I've used that word a lot on this show, but like he's hungry. He goes out and he wants it. And that's about really all you can ask for, because it translates into 110% effort. And that also translates into more goals than the guy you were paying like $4.5 million. So it's a big deal. Like, I know we don't want to keep bringing it up, but it's also like it's pertinent. So I'm just applause
Yeah.
for Tyler Wolff.
And his dad, of course, Josh Wolff
Yeah.
has been a tremendous model for him, his development, I'm sure. But yeah, good performance. And
Yep.
yeah, like Sosa, hopefully more to come for Wolff.
100%.
Tyler Wolff.
So Tyler Wolff, so Tommy gave him a 6.5 as well. Fatmob gave him a 6.6. So everybody kind of in alignment there.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So moving from the Wolf Man to the hype man, Ronald Hernandez.
Ronald Hernandez.
I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this. I've been super impressed with Ronnie this season. I know we haven't seen him a lot here in the first team, but when we have, he showed out.
An 8.8. Okay.
8.8 for me.
I gave him 8 flat, and then Tommy gave him 8 flat as
Tommy
well.
gave him an 8.
No, no, I agree. It's a big change. This has been the big change, this formation for Atlanta United, and you got to go with what works, and work against Philly, and it worked again against Montreal. And it wasn't the prettiest match, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's 3 points, and no one's going to care how you got the 3 points as long as he got them. But Hernandez has been a really key part of that. He's just a super underrated player. And he fits right into this new tactical setup that Gonzalo Pineda has put forth. And yeah, he stood out for all the right reasons. In the sense, I didn't really notice him, and I guess that's a good thing because, Montreal didn't score any goals, but B, toward the end though, I mean, when Montreal was making their push and sending waves of pressure and trying to push for that equalizing goal, he and the rest of the defense stood firm, really stood solid, and they could have folded like they did so many times
Countless
throughout this season. Yeah, I think we all kind of have been shell shocked by this team, giving up points left and right earlier this season, but they've just been very, very responsive to adversity over the past few matches. what happened this week with Ibarra, pretty much chief among them this week. But yeah, Hernandez has been a really, really key part of that. And yeah, he, I'm sure, will be a much bigger part of that as the season goes on. You have another really tough match against New England, who are kind of smarting because they feel they had a goal taken away from them the other night. And Bruce Maria was saying, that's the third time this happened this year, but that's kind of going away from the point. Hernandez, I think, will be a very, very vital part or piece of the puzzle for Gonzalo Pineda once again at Foxborough, in the place where if you win, I mean, you could probably potentially move into the top four, which, considering what this team has gone through, considering what has happened, considering the points they have dropped, that's a fantastic accomplishment, especially coming back home for a match against Orlando next Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, just to piggyback on that part real quick, I mean, I think before the Philadelphia match, after the New York Red Bulls match, these 4 matches between then and Leagues Cup, the break, you were looking at somewhat bleakly, I think, in terms of, man, we've just steadily been dropping. It's been a slow drop, but we've been dropping, and we need to fix it, and we need to right the ship. And it was getting dire because you don't want to drop out of one of the 9 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference, right? Like that's embarrassing. And it was teetering. It was getting close. Well, then you go and you beat Philly, one of the best teams, consistently best teams in the league at home. And then you go and beat Montreal away, which is a feat in itself, but in a place that they've been really good this year. And now you've set yourself up to take that momentum and go to Foxborough. And if you pull out a win, if you pull out a win up in Foxborough against New England, that's another team that you beat that is admittedly been better than you this season. And then the tables kind of start to turn a little bit, right? Then you start getting Mayumba and whoever else they're trying to bring in. And then the last few games of the season after the League Cup, like, I don't even care about the Leagues Cup. I would love for them to make a run for sure,
Yeah.
but like,
I mean,
whatever.
Yeah.
But then you get back to league play, to the season, and you set yourself up for a pretty good set of circumstances. So, yeah, not to go down that rabbit hole. We'll definitely talk about it Tuesday night for sure on our show, a lot more in depth. But I think you've went into these last 4 games before this break, and you're outdoing expectations. And now if you keep it up, that's called a winning streak, guys. Like that's a good thing to have. So back to Ronnie, specifically. Ronnie, to me, has been a ball of energy that this team has needed, especially in that area that he's playing at. He's just, is he perfect defensively? Not even kind of. The dude's not a center back. Like he's not, that's not what he is supposed to be playing as, but he has been tasked with it. And really it's kind of funny because if you watch him, he's the third center back, but he's also like a second defensive midfielder. He's the one, like you have Parada and Abram that are really your main center backs, right? Ronnie, his default position in this formation that Pineda has going on is obviously to be that third center back. But at times he pushes up a little bit and he helps out in that lower midfield section where the team has this year especially been rather weak, and he's doing it at the right times. His numbers aren't, I think, like if you're just a stat person, you're looking at me like, well, that's an average performance, like whatever. But the eye test and what he does for this system is way, way beyond, I think, what anybody expected, especially for a 5'7" right or left back who's now playing as a center back. He didn't win any tackles last night. He had, and it's funny because if you are a numbers guy, the last 10 minutes of that match last night, the dude was the man of the match. 3 clearances, 2 of those, 2 headed clearances, 2 interceptions, 3 recoveries. And then he won 50% of his duels. So like that last 10 minutes where it was just an onslaught of like balls into the box by Montreal.
Are you talking
He
about
made,
stoppage time last 10 minutes?
yeah,
That should have
yeah,
been
exactly.
9.
Yeah.
That should have been 6.
Are we talking about when the guy's watch broke
Yeah,
and then we just
right.
decided to keep playing soccer?
Yeah,
The guy was using the metric system.
I know.
God, it was awful. Yeah, those 10 minutes. Um, Ronnie, I'm proud of the way that he comes in and he fights. Like he comes in and you can tell he has something to prove. Like I said, he's a ball of energy, and it's just something that the teams needed back there. And I want to be honest. Like,
Sure.
obviously, Miles is going to come back and slot right back in, right? However, I almost don't want to move this back three. Like, they're doing so well together.
Yeah, no, indeed they are. Uh, did we mention Tommy rated him an 8 yet or no?
I think you did, but either way, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Tommy read it in a
We're
minute.
doing it again. What
Fatmob
did Fatma rate him?
gave him. They shafted my man, but they gave him a 7. Gave him a 7. Not the lowest on the team. He was bottom 4, but I think it's harsh. But again, FOTMob is going off of numbers and stats, right? That's the thing. Numbers and
Yeah.
stats don't tell the whole story.
Right, exactly.
So, but
Exactly.
good on Ronnie. I liked what I saw last night.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
So moving on from Ronnie, going a little bit forward in the midfield to another midfielder is Amar Sejdic.
Back in Montreal.
Back in his stomping grounds.
Sir.
All righty.
Tommy rated him a 7.5. You say 7. I say 6.7.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like Wolff. Solid, if not unspectacular. Again, didn't stand out for any bad reasons, really. But he formed a pretty good partnership with Sosa. And again, we talked about him going back to Montreal. Granted, it's not his first time back with Montreal since he played with Atlanta United. But yeah, you kind of figured that there's a chance that he would get the start since he already knows what it's like to play in Stade Saputo. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I don't know who else you're going to start there, but yeah, he looked solid, and no glaring mistakes out of the midfield. Again, performed well with Sosa, knowing that he's going to be a placeholder for Mlimba when his visa gets cleared, hopefully soon. But yeah, Sejdic is going to be looked at as a death piece. Probably one of your first players off the bench when you need to spell Mlimba. So he's going to be extremely vital for this team moving down the stretch as they continue to make that push toward the playoffs. And I forgot to mention, Atlanta United have played 22. It's already 12 matches to go in the regular season, which
It's crazy.
sounds insane. So as you get into that push, and we kind of talked about it, so you have New England Wednesday, Orlando Sunday. As you get to kind of push of 10 matches to go after League's Cup, you're going to really be leaning on your bench to help fill the gaps and help keep your main guys fresh, your starting 11 fresh. And Sejdic is going to be a really, really big part of that. Again, solid, wasn't spectacular, didn't jump off the page to me. Was it like, didn't really boss the midfield the way Sosa did, but still pretty solid when called upon. And yeah, he more oftentimes than not is. I mean, he won't throw in a really poor performance. I mean, again, he's not perfect, but he's pretty steady. He's a steady hand in the midfield.
Yeah.
For you.
You know what you're getting.
And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think if I'm being critical of anything with Amar Sejdic, I think the thing to level up his game to really, really give Pineda an issue in determining his starting 11, especially once you get Muyumba, who's likely going to be one of your main starters. And then, of course, Sosa had a great performance. If he's consistent, then Sejdic, you want Sejdic playing as your number 8, right? As your central midfielder when he's on the field. I would love to see him just be a little more goal dangerous. I would love to see now, and I will say this: out of Atlanta's midfielders in the past 3 years, at least he takes shots. He ends up in some spots, and he'll put a ball in. I remember last year, I think against maybe Orlando. I think. Anyway, I remember he he went for it, man. It was a banger waiting to happen, and I think it just went over the crossbar. But he
Yeah.
put one in last night, drilled it right at a defender, but the point is, I think if he can make it to where, just a couple of times a match, he's going to end up at the top of the box with the amount of guys you have going forward with Almada, Yakimakis when he's healthy, Wiley, Lennon, Wolff, Etienne when he's playing, like the amount of guys you're going to have in the box for you to make that late run and just drill one and get yourself a goal out of it
Yeah.
would be huge for his confidence. But it would just be that one extra piece for Atlanta's attack that now, like, they've got to watch out for. A defense has to watch out for. So I think, he does well on the ball. He does well moving the ball forward, and that's what I like. Even if he's going to give it away, he's trying to progress the ball. He's not always picking the safe pass, and I appreciate that. So I think, the next, evolution for Sejdic for me would just be find the back of the net. A couple times this season, find the back of the net. It's not, you're not going out to win the Golden Boot. Like, you're number 8. But, like, I just, and I'm not, do not get at me with these comparisons, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like, I look at a team that's like, that is goal dangerous from everywhere, right? Like, you're looking at Man City or Arsenal or somebody like that. Yes, this is apples and oranges. I get it. Not comparing Atlanta to Manchester City. However, a team like
Not
that
even
that
close.
plays, yeah, that plays the way they do, you're not safe when anybody has the ball. They're gonna find a way to score. And I think over the past few years, I mean, really, if you go back to the beginning of the franchise, but like they had other ways to counteract that. But like right now, if you find other ways to score with other guys, specifically your midfielders, that's another element to this team that could also help offset and counteract some of the defensive issues they've had this season. Now, granted, they've had 2 clean sheets in a row, and that's great. But if you get your number 8 scoring a couple of goals a season, a handful, that would be ideal. And I think for what Pineda wants to do, they have to have the number 8 that's going to provide you a little bit of that. And if that happens, then by all means, let Sejdic and Muyumba fight it out. I'm here for it.
I was just looking at his stats. He has 40 shots on goal for his career in 71 matches, only 12 on target. He did score twice for Montreal in the COVID year in 2020. So, I mean, like you said, he's not going to win a Golden Boot, but he has a couple of goals in him. So, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you look at Nagby. Nagby was not a goal scoring midfielder when he was here. He didn't need to be. I just think Amar, that would be the next evolution for him because he does like to play a lot farther forward. He does like the late run in the box. And defenses tend to kind of ignore him in the final third. Make him pay for it. So that's my 2 cents. But I think it was a steady game, like you said. He's the guy that you know what you're getting. So
watch him get a golazo against New England.
Goal of the week. Here we go.
Goal of the week. Let's go.
For Fat Mob, they gave him a 6.5.
6.5. Gosh,
Yep.
Seems kind of low.
Yeah, a little low. I agree.
And I think we already mentioned at the time he said 7.5.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
We had a little situation after the final whistle, didn't we?
We did. It was awesome. I loved it. A little bit of UFC.
But yeah, you probably saw it, but Gonzalo, Pineda, and Losada after the final whistle exchanged some words and had to be separated from each other. I had to laugh because there's this one guy who's just walking by just like nothing was going on. So But yeah, just a little bit of spiciness at the end of the match. And yeah, what are your thoughts on the fight? First, what are Tommy's thoughts? He
Uh,
had
so
some thoughts himself.
Tommy rated this fight between Pineda and Hernan Losada as I'm gonna keep it PG. No, I can't keep it PG. There's no other way to translate
Good,
this.
good.
Badass. All right.
EA.
Yeah. I'll just say it. I thought it was great. Now he said that. I'm gonna give it a number. My number was an even 10.
Yeah.
Um I gave it a 10 because I love seeing a manager just go in. And I love seeing a manager defend his guys, grind out a win in hostile territory, and then not back down from the horse crap that other players and other teams are going to try to throw at you. We've already heard Pineda talk this year about how it feels like the league in a lot of ways doesn't respect Atlanta United. You're going to get respect by winning games. That's really the only way. And I'll throw this little stat out there. Atlanta hasn't had back-to-back clean sheets, and I do believe I'm correct on this, since September of last year.
Mm.
So this is an important milestone for Gonzalo Pineda. Now, you take that, you're away, second away win of the year, very important away win in a very tough place to play. And then you throw in everything that's happened this week with Gutman, one of your starters, being moved out. Ibarra, one of your starters, being moved out. And though Pineda didn't specifically come out and say this, it took him by surprise, just like it did everybody else. So the dude has had a lot on his plate. He's already been the whipping boy for many, many Atlanta United fan. I mean, for a long time, but especially this season,
Just a bit.
yeah, just a bit. Um, the spotlight has been moved off of him this week, especially, and he has responded the past two matches just to everything with the change in formation, everything else, in a very positive way. So yes, if I don't know what the argument was about, I'll throw that out there. And I don't think anybody does because he declined to comment on it last night. Which whatever, I get it. He's going to be professional. You can still be professional and go in on somebody because at times you've got to go in on somebody. Now, I'm not saying I want a manager that's going to just want to throw down after every match, and like Thomas Tuchel grab somebody's handshake and like start trying to rip their arm off. I don't need that. But I love to see the passion. I love to see the fire. I love that he looked like prime, like 1990s Bobby Cox for the Braves, like just forehead to forehead. Like he was ready to go. And I'm just excited because it shows your team that you're all in and standing up for them. And right now, on Sunday, July 9th, 2023, this Atlanta United team needs their manager to stand up for them because right now I think a lot of them are looking at the front office and thinking we're all expendable. And not only like we knew we're expendable. I mean, you're a soccer player, like you understand that you could be moved, but you're also expendable in a sense that like you won't even be treated like a human being if they decide you have to be moved out. Because just look at Ibarra. Look what happened to him. So for Pineda to come out and show that he's got fight and he's fighting for his team, whatever the argument was about, honestly, it probably had something to do with stoppage time, the amount of stoppage time, and like, the flopping around in the dark arts a little bit. Who knows? How it doesn't matter. But what you saw and what the players saw is exactly what Pineda needed to demonstrate last night. And I think it couldn't have gone any better. I understand like it's people are going to look at it and be like, oh, this is crazy. Like, no, this is perfect. This is what you want to see out of your manager after a hectic week where your front office did some weird stuff and now everybody's on edge. To me, that's leadership. and that's a very good example of leadership.
What's dark arts in French, by the way?
What's that? What you said? What's dark arts? What?
Dark arts in French, in the French
Oh,
language.
that's a good. You know what? You talk. I'm gonna find that out. I'm gonna.
While you look that up,
Yeah.
it might be a rough translation from Google, but
That's okay.
yeah, I also put a 10
Sweet.
because it really is. You kind of said it. It could be a rallying point for Atlanta United toward the latter stretch of the season when they see that they have a manager that is willing to get in the trenches for them, and players love that. Players respect that. He wasn't going. He didn't go like Wolff or whoever it was in Columbus and like throw water on an official and get a red card or anything like that. And you don't want that. You want to show respect for the officials always. It also, I forget who it was, got 2 yellow cards. Sunday night had to. Yeah, it was not C. It was not C.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah. You know, you want to again like show that level of respect to the officials, and you don't want to. You kind of talked about it. Don't want to go like starting scraps with coaches left and right. But at the same time, it's good to see that Pineda is willing to get in there to say, you know what, we deserve respect. We demand respect, and we're not going to get pushed around. There might have been Atlanta United earlier this season or 2021. I mean 2022.
I mean, but 2021
no
too.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, no more. We're not going to take this sitting down, and we are here to stay. And I think the mindset of the team was shot Friday, and then going to Montreal on Saturday. But a lot of the response, and then Pineda, afterwards, after the match, of course, taking umbrage to what happened. And again, a manager getting in the trenches with his team, really stepping up for them, standing up, and not just taking things, sitting down. You don't want to see it every week. I don't think you'll see it against Bruce Arena at all.
Oh, dude, that would be the most
Bruce,
I don't know, cerebral argument ever. Bruce Arena is going to look at you with those eyes and just like you're just going to stare, and then Pineda's going to be right there in his face, and it's going to be like a cat versus dog situation. It's gonna be really weird.
A jersey's going to come out of Bruce Arena. Pineda's going to get that jersey out. No, but yeah, it was. I don't want to say funny, but it was really could be a real flashpoint for this remainder of the season. And can Atlanta United rally around this? We'll have to see, and we'll find out as soon as Wednesday. I'm sure he'll be asked about it in the media availability this week. Pineda will, and heading into the Nolia match. But as you said, he already declined to talk about it, so I don't think he'll change his mind on Monday. And I looked for Losada's comments. I didn't find anything from Losada. So, yeah, hopefully the team can rally around it, really.
Yeah. And I think what I liked about it, too, it wasn't just a shout in passing. It was, dude, we're going forehead to forehead. And then Rob Valentino is going to have to drag me away from you. And then I'm still going to be going back in for seconds. And then everybody's going to have to get involved and try to pull me away. And I'm still trying to get back in there. Like, it was not just I'm going to say something under my breath on the way by. Like, no, dude, Pineda was going in and he was ready to throw down. And I am here for it. And meanwhile, Brooks Lennon's in the background just like clapping for the away Atlanta fans. I love it. It was awesome. So
that's funny.
Yeah, it was good to see. And I like to see that fire. You don't want a manager that's got an anger issue, obviously, right? Like, you don't necessarily want, I'm not saying Jose Mourinho's got an anger issue, but like Jose Mourinho is going to start some crap, right? Yeah. And that's okay. That's just who he is. You don't want to see that every week, but this was the right time and it was needed, I think. So I'm super happy with it. That being said, I'm going to try this. If there's any language on earth that I'm just not good with, it's French. But dark arts, that almost sounded inappropriate. Dark arts.
We'll probably put it in the description.
Yeah, it's
or something like that. But
it's spelled arts sombres. but it's
Or
pronounced
sombre? I don't know.
or sombre.
Ah, okay. Well, if you know what dark arts is in French, please let us know in the comments.
Yes.
And we'd be very appreciative.
Yes, because now I need to know.
Yeah.
Because Google's trying to make me say something inappropriate on this
Yeah.
thing. I already broke the PG rating. All right.
Right.
And now they're trying to make me do it again.
Awesome. But yeah, I think that's it. Again, we have a show on Tuesday, 7 p.m. here on YouTube. We'll have the podcast up or right after it ends. Of course, you'll have the replay available to you on YouTube as well if you want to watch it again. But yeah, any final thoughts?
No, I love to see it. Hopefully, this recipe they can take it up to Foxborough and keep it up, and then you're having a really really good conversation come Orlando on Saturday. But you've given yourself a little bit of breathing room, and now if you can just keep it up, then you're on the right path. Also, final thought: it is the 21st minute in the Gold Cup, USA versus Canada, and is 0-0. So USA.
USA. Again, we will assume that if you watch this on Monday morning, they'll have won. So
yes, knock
cool.
on wood.
Yes, cool. Well, it's
Good
been
stuff.
fun. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Like and subscribe, and yeah, be there at 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
All right, see you then, folks.
See you guys.